All right, I have no idea if this is working. I believe it is, though, so that's always good. So this here, we're just going to call this Watch with Ryan, and that was a very, very good title that Yvette came up with. And primarily what I would like to do is, since I sit here on my couch and all I do is watch pretty much sports and wrestling and Godzilla movies, as I have a very wide range. So I figured, what the hell? What we could do here to increase the programming on the network is just hang out with me while I'm watching the stuff that I like. So, primarily, as I was saying, probably going to be a lot of WWE. Might throw some Cavs games in there because I don't know if anybody else is really doing Cavs stuff, but I might do a little of that. But primarily, I just want to talk about WWE and talk to you. If you like WWE or wrestling as well, we don't have to just keep it to that. But if you're going to ask about AEW, it's going to be tough for me because I really don't watch it. Nothing against them or anything. I just don't. I'm an old school WWE New York fan and wish them the best, but it's nothing different than if I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. Hey, I got nothing against, the Arizona Cardinals or whoever else, but I root for the Browns. So I don't know how else to describe that. So yeah, I'm probably just going to jump right in. I'd like to start with a little Raw recap because they're gearing up for Survivor Series in less than 2 weeks. Chicago, a lot of rumors about that. But if you watched Raw last night, SmackDown on Friday, they really have been kind of fast tracking everything, getting everything where they needed to be for War Games, and I for one have enjoyed it. Last night, might as well just start with we'll start with some of the underneath stuff. We'll see if anybody wants to jump in, make some comments, anything of that nature. But some of the other stuff that happened on Raw, the undercard, if you will. Actually, we'll start with this one because it could be interesting. So Shinsuke Nakamura, I don't know if you've been seeing it, but he's been doing these promos, which have been awesome, by the way. Looks like a villain, like an anime villain. It's awesome. And he's pretty much been calling out somebody, but not telling us who he's talking. He has a target. He has somebody in mind. So it's like, who's he talking about? Every promo, he's talking about somebody. And he's having matches in the meantime. Last night, defeated Otis from Alpha Academy. Actually, it was pretty good. They put it together in the ring. They beat the hell out of each other. And they made Otis look pretty good, too. It took 3 finishing moves, the old Kinshasa from Shinsuke to actually put down Otis. So that was good. But going back to the main point here, I know that WWE, they're doing as much as they can to stop the CM Punk stuff. And that's, if you had to ask me right now, if I had to put money on it, is CM Punk going to show up at Survivor Series? I would say no, if I had to put actual money on it. My heart wants him to show up. As a fan, I want to see this. So I'm thinking in my head, let's see how the last time, let's play fantasy. Like, again, as I said, I don't anticipate him being there. I hope he is. But now let's go to fantasy booking world because that's what's fun. Nobody wants to talk about reality. Reality sucks. So in fantasy world, if I'm going to draw some parallels as to why maybe WWE is bringing in CM Punk, even if they're not letting on to it, I sort of look at how they brought in Cody Rhodes. And I know the circumstances are different. One guy was a free agent. The other guy got fired and has a whole bunch of baggage. And yeah, let's put that aside. Let's just look at like how they're building things. So if you remember back a few years ago when Cody Rhodes left AEW and there was all those rumors out there that he was going to be coming back to WWE, and the same kind of thing happened. Like it was right away, yep, he's going right to WWE. Then there's reports out there, he might not be. They don't know yet. Like they kind of fluctuated. They went up and down. Meanwhile, on television, each Raw, or it was primarily Raw, I think is where they were doing it, just like they are now. They would do everything in their power to throw you a little something in there that referenced Cody Rhodes' first run in WWE. So they made sort of a Stardust reference, I remember. Smoke and mirrors, anything, any little thing you could throw out there that reminded you of Cody Rhodes or implied him they would do. And then on top of that, they had Seth Rollins without a WrestleMania match. And the whole thing you had these two parallel things happening where they were mentioning things that could be associated with Cody Rhodes, and they had one star that was seeking a match. He wanted a match at WrestleMania. And every week he tried to win a match. He had to do something to get a match at WrestleMania, and he couldn't do it. And then finally at WrestleMania, through all the rumors, all the stuff, here comes Cody Rhodes. And I liked how they did it. I thought it was different. I mean, it wasn't really different, but it was fine. How you bring somebody in is whatever. But if I'm going to look at parallels and ignore everything else that we know that comes with these two scenarios and how they're different, you're starting to mention CM Punk stuff on TV. They're giving out song lyrics. They're using phrases he used and funny enough, a lot of these phrases they're thrown out there from his Ring of Honor days, but they're there. And then, coincidentally, Shinsuke Nakamura, for no reason, just starts using the GTS, which is what CM Punk's finish is. So you have the commentators on Raw mentioning things that could be referenced to CM Punk, much like they did Cody. You have one of your top caliber guys. Because don't forget at the time, because I know everybody's going to say, well, if it's CM Punk, wouldn't he go right after Seth and go after a championship? No, not necessarily. I don't think WWE's trying to do anything like that, because Seth Rollins back in WrestleMania when he faced Cody Rhodes, he wasn't the champion. He was just there. He wasn't involved in anything. Upper mid-card guy at the time, right where Shinsuke Nakamura is at. And if you're going to say, well, that's not a big enough opponent for CM Punk, I would disagree, and I think CM Punk would too. As a matter of fact, that sounds like a guy he would want to work with. So just looking at some of these parallels here and thinking, are they doing the same thing? And even though they're trying their best to squash all these rumors and everything, so the crowd doesn't act a certain way, are they just doing this so you have this big surprise at Survivor Series? That'd be cool, but I'm kind of looking at it, and I just don't know if it's actually going to happen. It could be WWE. They're going to do things just to keep you interested. So it could be just a case of, you know what? Let's just keep throwing this stuff out there. Let's just see. Because CM Punk's doing it too. If you check his Instagram right now, he's got a gym thing, or when you keep your track of your workout on your app. I don't use it. I don't know, but I guess if you really like fitness, which I don't, I do try to, I guess, go to the gym once in a while. But like if you have one of those apps and you post a picture of your whatever the hell your set was, and then your background music is the theme for Survivor Series, but you also included a little 666 thing because now there's people, AEW fans, thinking that he's the guy in this devil mask, which if they went that far out of their way just to pull that surprise, it's like, man, seemed like a lot. So CM Punk having fun with it, WWE having fun with it, commentators having fun with it. So does that mean he's going to show up? I don't know. Who knows? I hope so, but as I said, if I had to put money on it, I'm betting no. What else we got that happened last night? The Miz defeated Ivar. How about the Miz, Cleveland's own? It's about time that he's actually using him as a good guy now, because he's getting to the point that he's been around for 20 years, and it's almost one of those things where he's just like, I'm not booing this guy anymore. I actually know that he's good at his job, and he's good in the ring, and he's really good for the company. And you know what? I'm happy. And it's cool, too, the way they did it. I think they tried to turn Miz face years ago, and it just backfired because they totally changed him into this, I'm a, family. It's like, no, you still got to be the Miz. You got to do what he does, but just go after heels. And what did he do last night to beat Ivar? He used the ropes and cheated and got cheered for it, just like Hulk Hogan used to do in the 80s all the time. So I enjoy that. And I like that Miz is going to get the match at Survivor Series against Gunther for the Intercontinental title. I don't expect him to win, but, it's better than a lot of things they could have done. And they're obviously building up that division as well, as you can see. Bronson Reed being involved. There's other guys that they're kind of, Chad Gable still sort of circling around the IC title. So I like that they're actually kind of building that up now. It's actually a really good time to be a WWE fan, because now with Triple H actually fully in charge, even though he was in charge, then Vince came back like some sort of demon, and then he was ousted again, or whatever the hell is going on over there. It's you can see now Triple H can actually sit there and he's like, okay, we got to build a mid card division, we got to build a tag division, we got to rebuild the women's division, and he's trying his best in a short amount of time, but it's going to take some time. But I do like the idea of Miz and Gunther Survivor Series. I think that'll be good. It also looks like what came out of that match is they're going to do something with Bronson Reed and Ivar. So if you're into like the two huge dudes just firing into each other like that and doing moves that cruiserweight should do, that's going to be fun. I'm for that. Yeah, you can sign me up for Ivar and Bronson Reed. I'm good. What else did we do here? They're still working with Xia Li. She kicked Indy Hartwell's head off, just like she did to what's her name, Candice LeRae. So they're basically, as quick as they can, letting you know that Xia Li, who in NXT was a big deal, is still badass. And then they're going to have, that's going to lead to her and Becky Lynch this coming Monday. So that's good. I like that. I like using Becky Lynch. She had that really nice NXT run where she was the champion, and now you can use her to try to, get other people going, just like she did with Lyra in NXT as she passed along the title. I don't think Xia Li's going to win, but it's just nice to see her in the ring. Just get this women's division going, and Becky Lynch can help make that happen. What else did we have? Ludwig Kaiser defeated Tommaso Ciampa, and Giovanni Vinci was kicked from ringside, I believe, from what I remember, and then came back because they're heels and it's wrestling and rules. Who the hell, listens to rules? So he came back in and helped Kaiser win the match. And then, Johnny Gargano, he got laid out by the cheating team there. And then they're kind of doing this feud with DIY and Imperium, or at least part of Imperium, and that's good. They're trying to get this tag division going. The more interesting thing that came out of there, if you watched recently, it looked like Giovanni Vinci was on Gunther's shit list in Imperium, and all of a sudden, it almost seems like it's flipped a little bit. It looks like Kaiser's been getting a little too big, feeling himself a little too much, and then Gunther gave all the praise last night to Giovanni Vinci and made Kaiser look like an asshole. So that's fun. That little dynamic's going there. So that's good stuff. It's nice that everybody now has something going on. Again, hello, Jay Sampson. How are you? Thank you. I'm good. Thanks. Hope you're well. And so I like that. I just like now that everybody has little stories, even if it's the undercard. It used to be for so long when it was so bad, because you might have a decent main event thing going on and nothing else. You just had random matches, feuds, stop and start, pushes, stop and start. But now that you have competency in the booking department, it's like a grown-up is running the place again. So I like that everybody has something going. They did Tegan Nox defeated Piper Niven, which was a good match. Also fun. I forget somebody, I can't remember who it was, interfered or helped or did something. Oh, it's going to kill me. Either way, it was fun. Plus, I just like to see Chelsea Green. She's just great at her job. So enjoyable. I like the tag team they had to put together with her and Piper Niven. I know that wasn't the intention when Sonya Deville got hurt, but those tag titles in the women's division have been cursed for a while, so it's good to see they're doing good with it. And then I'm just basically trying to wait for NXT to start. Typically, I think one of these times when we're going to do this, the idea is going to be that we actually are on when the show's on. But we got another show coming up at 8:30. If you want to talk some Cleveland Browns, you can talk Browns with me, but we talk a lot of Browns. So trying to do something a little different. And then some other stuff that happened. The whole running story through Monday Night Raw was the Judgment Day and then Cody Rhodes' team, since that's going to be War Games. And some of the fun stuff that happened, and we'll go back to the opening segment. Cody Rhodes comes out, he introduces his whole team, and here comes Judgment Day. They come out, and now they're kind of standing, Judgment Day, they come down to the ring. They're up on the apron now. Cody and his team, Seth, Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, they're in the ring. And then, they're talking trash back and forth, and Cody's kind of using this psychology where he's basically saying, who leads the Judgment Day here? Is it Rhea? And they're kind of going back and forth, and he's saying it in a prickish way. And it basically finally sets off Damian Priest. And he's like, no, I'm the leader of Judgment Day. And everybody's like, oh, shit. So they did all that, and that was good. And then basically later in the night, they were basically getting you prepared because they're going to have the Tag Team Championship rematch between Cody and Jay and Finn Balor and Damian Priest. And then also what came out of that was a tag match with Seth Rollins, Sami Zayn, taking on Dominic and JD McDonough, which ended in complete nonsense because they hate each other. They just want to beat the hell out of each other. That's why they're going to War Games. So Adam Pearce comes out. He's like, enough of this BS. We're not going to have this during the championship match tonight. He tells JD McDonough and Dominic Mysterio to kick rocks and get the hell out of the building. Not just the ringside area. That's not good enough. You got to get the fuck out of the whole place is what happened. So Rhea's throwing a fit because of that. And then out of nowhere, here comes Zoe Starks, because Zoe Starks and Rhea Ripley are wrestling at Survivor Series for the Women's Championship. They did the opening segment went about 20-some minutes through a commercial break, and it never stopped. I mean, they put everything, they loaded up that opening segment to where me, even when I'm trying to go through it, and I'm using memory here, I have a match result cheat sheet here, but I'm trying to go from memory, and I'm like, damn, that was a lot of stuff, and I'm fine with it. Give me a lot of stuff. The alternative was to watch the Bills and Broncos. The Bills turned the ball over 65 times a half, so I was fine with a loaded opening segment. And then a couple other things that spun out of that happened throughout the show was JD McDonough finally got accepted into Judgment Day. And now he is a member of Judgment Day. They gave him one of the, I don't know what you call it, coat type deals. So now and Damian Priest, who was up and down with him, had one of the best scenes of Raw ever when he just had this dude lifted up onto the side of the wall when he was pissed off at him. They just go to that scene, and it was great how they did it. Damian Priest officially welcoming JD into Judgment Day since he's been, getting kicked in the face for the group for quite a while. And then the other thing that they did on the opposite team was Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. We just, in the beginning, talked a whole bunch about how Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins and their history, and I like that they don't forget it. Sometimes in the old days, in the dark days of the booking era, when Vince was still screwing everything up, they probably would have ignored that or barely mentioned that Cody and Seth absolutely hate each other. And they didn't dance around it this time. They did a little backstage segment where Cody's basically like, Seth, I know you hate my guts, and that's totally fine. You can hate my guts 364 days a year, but I need you for one night, that 365th on November 25th, I need you to be in my corner. Just once. After that, you can hate my guts and do whatever you want to me. And that's pretty much, Seth Rollins was like, you need me for one night, I got you for one night. So that was cool. So they're just trying to do a good job of making things make sense. It's no different than on SmackDown when Kairi Sane came back, and you're like, wait, the last time we saw you on WWE a few years ago, Bayley kicked your ass and beat your head off of like the garage door or whatever, the bay door in the backstage area. And then they brought it up. They actually showed the footage because Bayley, if you could see where that's going, she's going to be out of her own group soon enough. But she's just like, are we cool? And, Kairi Sane's like, is just, is underhanded, as you could say it. It's like, oh, I forgive you. I'm like, no, I don't think you do. And the fact that all of them are pounding around and Bayley looks kind of like the odd person out. So yeah, sort of the same thing. So I like that they did actually recognize that. I like that they had a little segment with Cody and Seth to basically kind of put that, we're going to be good for a night. And later on in the evening, we'll get to what happened in the main event because, this has been something that's been building for a while. But some of the fun stuff that you can kind of think about, actually, we do got to talk about the main event first for this to make sense. So the main event, they do the tag team title match. And Cody, it's actually good. I think they started the match at about 10:20 or so. I mean, they gave it a long amount of time, or at least they started intros. I don't know when the actual match started. But they have a good match. It's a couple segment match. They're flying all over the place. It looks like, exactly like you think it would. Good. And then what happens is, now don't forget, in the beginning of the show, Adam Pearce lost his mind and kicked Dominic and JD out of the arena. So as soon as their match in the beginning of the show was over and they did a backstage, they had to leave. They had to get their stuff and they had to get out. So now you're thinking, all right, we got a fair match here. This, who knows? We might actually get a title change here. But then if you think about it for a little bit, and you think about the seeds they've been planting, there was a scene backstage with Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins, and Drew McIntyre's like, oh, golly shucks, friend, you got me. You know what? You said this would be great for me, and I'd have nobody to blame but myself, and damn it, you're right. And you know me, I'm just going to work my ass off, and I'm going to come back, and I'll get my chance. Don't you worry. And it was just so sugary and nice, and Seth's like, I know you will, big man. I know you will. And he limps off because his back's messed up. And then and here's the one thing they did that I loved. So if you've been paying attention, you know that Drew was kind of being disingenuous. But typically, or before the sun came out, you would do that. You would do the same thing. Maybe, have Drew say, oh, I'll get you next time. But the difference would be in how they direct it. And sometimes that makes a big difference. Typically before, they do the same thing. Seth walks away and they would cut back to Drew, and Drew would get that like, I just shit myself face that they would always make heels do. So because as if I couldn't figure out, or you're gonna lay the runway there to blow your own surprise. So it's like, oh yeah, looks like Drew's turning heel. His expression, and there's times to do it, like they did it on NXT last week with Mello and Trick Williams. Unavoidable because they're in the ring. Backstage, you don't have to do that. So the fact that they just cut away from Drew and they just showed Seth walk off, and then they didn't go back to Drew so he could, telegraph what's coming later in the evening, even though, if you've been kind of watching, you could see that something was coming, especially with the rumors out there that he was going to be on the Judgment Day side, and Randy Orton's coming back, who should be back next week, which I cannot wait. Cannot wait to see Randy Orton back. That's just going to be tremendous. But yeah, so Seth walks away. They don't do the stupid cutback, and they just end it. So you're like, oh, okay. And I'm thinking, well, the puzzle pieces have been laid out. They showed Rhea Ripley and they showed Drew McIntyre talking in the back area when they were doing an interview. They were kind of like background scenery. And, Drew's been kind of wishy-washy with his friends, especially since Jey Uso came over to Raw. So they're having this really good match. And again, just how camera work and how you frame things and how it makes a big difference. They get to the end of the match. There's been no interference because you're thinking we're good. The other two Judgment Day guys, they're gone. They're at the hotel. They're drinking somewhere. It's party time. And there's a spot where Jey Uso ends up out of the ring towards the end, and they catch him. He looks up, and he's kind of got this, what do you, confused. They don't show you who he's looking at. They didn't show Drew come out of the crowd. They didn't have the announcers go, oh, what's Drew doing out? None of that crap. They just had Jey Uso on the outside of the ring start looking up, and they pan the camera over, and there's Drew McIntyre. And you're like, and he's just got that look on his face like, I am here for nothing good. And he kicks Jay's head off with a claymore, and it throws everything else off in the match. Judgment Day ends up getting the win. And now this is where it can get real fun. And you can really get into, some in-depth story stuff, because the whole Judgment Day thing that's been going on is who's the leader. Rhea Ripley has been basically the de facto leader. She's been calling all the shots. There's been some internal strife with some of the decisions she's made with making matches for people and all this stuff. So you've already had that going on. You had Damian Priest earlier in the night say, I'm the leader. This is my boat. This is what I do. I'm the leader. After Drew McIntyre kicked Jey Uso out of the match, Judgment Day gets to win. And if you watch, Damian Priest and Finn Balor look as confused as hell. They're not celebrating. They're not like, we pulled one. They didn't run out and high-five Drew. I'm pretty sure that Damian Priest basically told Finn Balor, get the hell out. Let's go. Get your belts. We're out of here. I don't know what's going on. Then Drew McIntyre makes his way up the ramp, and out comes Rhea Ripley. And here's Rhea and Drew, and they shake hands and smile. So it appears as though the other guys in Judgment Day had no idea this was coming. So if you're having a power struggle, well, there you go. This is a good way to do it. Rhea Ripley's making moves, didn't run anything by Judgment Day. They just inducted a new member. They just brought in JD. And now here comes Drew. Now, great on the surface because he's going to help in War Games and whatever else. But if you're truly a unit that doesn't have one leader and you're all supposed to be equal, probably should run by the fact that you're going to get Drew McIntyre to help you win a match, especially since, it's their tag team. It's your group's tag team championships. So there's a lot you can do. I think at the end of the day, I don't know if this means Drew. I don't think Drew's going to officially be in Judgment Day. I think he'll be affiliated, but I could see Drew just being a kick-ass heel like nobody. He'd probably eventually break away from Judgment Day, but I also think that this is going to eventually lead to Damian Priest leaving Judgment Day and turning face or being a good guy, because that's just kind of where it seems like it's lining up. And he's the one you would want to do that for. He's, to me, the guy you want to spin out of that group and try to do something with. And I wouldn't be shocked, too, if somehow he gets screwed out of winning a championship. He's been carrying around the briefcase. I could see them do something to where he tries to cash in, something happens, he doesn't cash it in, and maybe they kick him out. And then now you got a program, and somehow I could see maybe Drew as a heel maybe ends up with the World Heavyweight title at some point. At some point I think Seth Rollins is going to have to, I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't even know if what I'm talking about is going to happen or even is on their radar or makes sense. I'm just fantasy booking, like I said. I just feel like there's going to be something to where Damian Priest ends up as a good guy, and now he's going to go after Judgment Day, because I see what people say online. A lot of people, they're just tired of this Judgment Day story and against Cody Rhodes, and it's like, guys, you're not getting microwave stuff anymore with who's in charge. You're going to actually have to sit back and enjoy a story. And it's never been boring as far as I can tell. Yeah, you've seen some combinations of the same matches, but it's been leading somewhere. And I believe after War Games, you'll get your wish, and you'll probably see the end of the, Judgment Day versus Cody, Jay, Sammy, and whoever else, So we'll see what they do. And then I think that's how you spin it off. You have Damian Priest eventually break away, and you can do a whole bunch of different stuff. And then he'll be on his way. All right, we're about 2 minutes away from NXT, so we're going to get ready for that here. So if you're going to watch NXT, get ready. I'm not sure what's supposed to go on tonight. NXT's fun because NXT back in from 2015 to about 18 or so, 19 was my favorite wrestling show. The original Black and Gold brand. And then Triple H had a medical condition, and they took NXT and destroyed it and turned it into some sort of, I get what the idea was, is they're going to try to use that as an actual training ground, and the NXT 2.0 and it's just, oh man, it was just garbage. And then it is returned because now Shawn Michaels is in charge of it, as he was before, but he can do what he wants now. He has his own direction. He can kind of have his own vision for NXT and still meet the goals of what it's supposed to do. And he's found this really fun way, Shawn Michaels has, to combine the old NXT Black and Gold sort of mentality with some of the elements of the, NXT 2.0. And I love the fact that they are not afraid in any way to take chances. You see things on NXT, and I don't mean the way they do backstage segments. They do a lot of cinematic stuff. They do a lot of character development stuff, such as Mr. Stone and the other guy's name. We'll see him shortly. I can never remember his name. Puts guys through tables. Whatever. They've been developing the hell out of that. Braun Breaker crushed his head with steps. Why can't I remember this guy's name? Somebody help me out here. But they do a lot of like their stuff's almost like soap opera-y, like, trying to develop their friendship. And then you have the cinematic stuff with other people. Yeah, it's just I just like the way they do it. I like that you see things on NXT. Uh, I liked when they did the before the tag team match they did at the last pay-per-view. They were out eating, the D'Angelo family. They were in a restaurant. Von Wagner, thank you, Rob. God, I just stalled out. I couldn't even remember the dude's name. I'm actually trying to find it on my TV, so the fact that I'm still talking coherently is somewhat surprising. But I just love the different stuff they do on NXT. I get a kick out. Even like they did a whole storyline with Gallus and the D'Angelos, where Tony D'Angelo's in jail, and it ended up being a big swerve, and it was great. But I just liked how it was different. They shot something outside of the arena. And Los Lotharios, when they were, telling the story of why they're fighting and, their grandfather and all that, like just totally different way of doing things than what you typically see on a wrestling show. So I like it a lot again. It's much more enjoyable. I love the Chase U stuff. Like the problem, sometimes you got to wonder though, if a lot of these guys or how many of the people will translate to the main roster, but what they do when they get up there is on them at that point. I almost feel bad, speaking of that kind of stuff, for Johnny Gargano. I mean, he came back, he re-signed with the company last, maybe July, when that was all going on, when Vince was out for the first time. They're using him on TV. He's starting to enter feuds, and then Vince comes back and he's like, because he's an idiot. And then you don't see Johnny Gargano for a long time for no reason. And then they finally do. Vince is gone again. They bring him back, and now it's like you can see. And I mean, we all like Johnny, but the majority of WWE fans don't give a shit about the internet, or they're not living in the sphere of dirt sheets and stuff like that, or they're not living in what people have done outside of the walls at WWE. Honestly, I'm like that to a degree. Like I might know. I think Mick Foley, actually, it might have been him. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But he basically was like, the WWE fans, if you're a WWE fan, you like guys in the context of WWE. That doesn't mean that if somebody leaves, you don't know where they're going or what they're doing or anything like that, or you're wishing them to not do well. It's just kind of like when it comes to WWE, we sort of like you in that universe. So even as something like NXT, if you look at NXT's numbers, they get about a third of what Raw and SmackDown might get. Or it's probably about half with Raw. Or actually, it's probably under half now, especially with football back. But for the most part, you're watching Raw and SmackDown and you don't know about Johnny Gargano's history. And now you're basically trying to have to do this all over again. So hopefully they can get DIY going, because I really like him and Ciampa. So we'll see. My TV has betrayed me and will not let me watch anything. This is like, you think the Bally Sports app is bad. Good God. I'm missing the whole opening segment here. This is ridiculous. I'm just watching this thing spin. Hopefully you're having better luck than me. Yeah. I guess I'll try to reset it. I only got like 20 minutes left too, so I was hoping we could get some NXT, and maybe you tell me what the hell is going on right now. Oh, there it is. Holy Lord. That was the hardest thing in the world. All right, what do we got here? Oh, missed the opening, but we got Chase U in the ring. This must be the tag team rematch. So I like what they've been doing with this too. I like what's her name, infiltrating Chase U and sort of being like the bad apple, the class. It's been good. And the one other thing too, if you like more fast paced, or I guess they'd say almost modern matches, NXT they do a lot more. I'd say they have a lot more of the green light when it comes to what they can do in the ring. And on Raw and SmackDown, they've been getting better too. The match quality has been going up, and they've been doing a lot more as well. So slowly but surely, you can't change everything overnight. Trying to see if there's anything good I missed here talking about tonight, because I haven't actually looked at any social media. I wonder what it's like to have to wrestle in a sweater. If you're Andre Chase, that can't be any fun. I like I wouldn't want to see Stacks and Tony D turn on each other. I would like them to see them go up to the main roster as a team. I like the D'Angelo family idea. It's something. Sometimes those old kind of gimmicks just work, you know. For as much as you want to see in 2023 guys be themselves and be. And I don't know Tony D'Angelo. I don't even, he might. Who knows? But you got to love the old school characters, you know. He's a mob boss, like he's. It's just simple fun. He's got the mafia with him. They follow him around. He's used them in certain situations. Sometimes that old nostalgia of having an old character, old style type character is good. Chase U, that's cool too. That's just something out of the box, something different. Now again, I think these would be two teams I think that actually would translate to the main roster, mainly because I think the WWE fans, we like a character. Sometimes they're goofy, they're a little corny, whatever, but they are fun. So we're trying to see here now, because as we've been watching, the fun thing they've been doing, they've had is JC Jane been sort of corrupting Thea Hale in the group. And this all stemmed from when Thea Hale had an opportunity at the NXT Women's Championship. I think Tiffany Stratton might have still been the champion. And basically, Andre Chase, when she was in a submission hold, threw in the towel. And Thea Hale didn't give up, but she was pretty much screwed. So, Andre Chase is looking at it like, well, hell, I can't let my student get destroyed here. So he throws in the towel, and she's been kind of pissed off ever since. And, revolting, being late for class. By the way, I was too lazy to put this mic cable up my shirt because I'm in my fucking living room. What am I? But now, since Thea Hale was upset, and then JC Jane comes in and kind of turns her into you know, what like the bad group of kids. It's just, harmless, good, fun storytelling stuff, which is why it's good. I like NXT because for all the reason I've been saying, but I do like to sometimes you can watch NXT and you don't have to think all that hard. It's just enjoyable. Doing a commercial. I like the picture in picture idea. It's always been good. So yeah, don't forget, coming up here in about 15, 20 minutes or so, next show's up. I might jump in, I might not. We're gonna see how much gas I got my ass handed to me at work today. I just it just did you know how that day goes where it just does not stop. That was today. And I don't know. I might be toast after this, but maybe not. Might want to talk a little Browns. I might. Having a hell of a match here, so that's fun. Oh, still a commercial here. I always admire the fact that when they go to commercial, you don't usually see too many, when they do the pitcher and pitcher, you don't see a ton of action. They got a rest hold going here now. I do like Duke Hudson. I think he could definitely be somebody. Tony D'Angelo looks like he has the most comfortable ring gear of all time. Like if I had to wear ring gear, if I was a wrestler, not like I'd wear ring gear around the house. You know, I got to draw the line somewhere. But yeah, he says like the sweatpants or the is that would that be velour? I don't know pants, and then the white T-shirt. That is just great ring gear. And of course, if you're in the mafia, what else are you going to wear? There we go. We're back. Back off the pitcher and pitcher. Now, what they've been working on, if you're watching, is trying to get Duke Hudson to get this hot tagged Andre Chase as he's trying to fight out of the damn opposite corner. Now he just spiked poor Stacks. So I don't know. I would assume that, oh yeah, for real. Trick Williams, absolutely. That guy, he could be as big as a star as they want him to be. I love Trick Williams. Good call, Nathan. I'm thinking that's what they're going to do because they do what do they call their version of War Games in NXT? The Iron Survivor chat, whatever. I like it. It's a neat I mean, it's basically like a version of War Games, but in NXT. And I think tonight he's having a match to get into that match, so I would expect him to win. I don't know when we'll see the championship though. Might be a little bit because they got to do the feud with Carmelo first, and that could we don't know how long that'll be. And I'm here for it. But yeah, at some point Trick Williams, whether it's NXT, WWE, champ, he's going to be a champion somewhere. He's too good. I I wonder when if they move NXT to the CW next year, if they'll actually try to get this back in arenas. They should do. Up here. I'm in Cleveland. I don't know where anybody's at, but they have a venue. It's a really cool little theater. I went and saw Asking Alexandria there, and NWA did a pay per view from there. I think it was the pay per view they got in a lot of trouble for one of the bits they did. I think it might have been there, but the way they had it set up, like I'd love to see NXT like get into little theaters, sort of like that. Uh, it, I just feel like that's the one thing they're missing, and good for them for making the performance center and making this kind of glorified studio. But man, it'd be cool to see this out in front of some different crowds. And the NXT crowds are good. It's just, you know, if you're truly making it a third brand and you're taking TV money for it, I mean, I'm not saying you don't have to try to fill up arenas, but go to a couple thousand seat place and see what you do, or leave it in here because it's free. Imagine that profit. This costs you like no money because it's in your own production facility, and you got a whole bunch of millions of dollars for it. So good for them. So maybe I can see why they wouldn't want to do it. I would do it. I'd try to get it in something. This has been good so far. Good way to open. Always good to open up a show with a hot match. The other thing that's great about NXT is the commentary team's great. that Vic Joseph and Booker T is always. Some people can be up and down on with Booker T on commentary. I'm like, nah, he's great. let him cook. Nope, Stacks with a cover. Nope. See, I wouldn't be shocked if they ended this with the D'Angelo family getting, because they did that. They teased that angle or whatever last week. Andre Chase got that. He got the folder, the envelope that looked like it was from the D'Angelo family, and they got some stuff going on there. So I wouldn't be shocked if they ended up getting the championships back, which I'd be fine with. And then if I was going to do it, I'm surprised they haven't done it yet where Thea Hale has thrown in a towel. She does have a towel in her hand to cost them, since she was wronged. So we'll see. That doesn't necessarily have to be tonight or ever. But I just kind of felt like after that happened to her, I've been waiting for the moment where she does, Andre Chase. It's a little front flip off the ring apron. That's fun. All right, we got a setting up for something here. Oh, nice. Nice sequence. Crowd chanting NXT. A lot of, outside of when they did the commercial break and they did the picture in picture, this has been a very high, fast-paced match. They haven't done a lot of slowing down since they came back. Wondering if this match will get another segment or if this is it. It's been going pretty long. I missed the first 4 minutes because my TV's awesome. Or at least the friggin', I don't want to crap on whose service I use, but their box can get thrown into the lake. Oh no, the Chase U, everybody's leaving. What happened here? They turn it up. Why did anybody see that? Why did Chase U run off or leave the stands? Uh-oh. There we go. New champs. There we go. You could kind of see that was coming. And I don't think anybody interfered unless I missed it when I was fiddle fucking around with everything. Ah, good. I like the D'Angelo family. I'm glad they got that back. So outside of what happened, Chase, you walked out and that distracted Andre Chase and he ended up taking the finish. I need a replay here. Let me take a look. See what the old internet's saying here. See what the old internet's saying. Yeah, so it looks like the Chase U section, they walked out. It screwed up Andre Chase, and then they ended up regaining the tag title. So it's got to have something to do with whatever news that Andre Chase was delivered that JC Jane saw for a minute. Now, we don't know. She's never kind of let on what she saw. So they got something going on. So that's cool. Also, just to give you a heads up, I got about 5 minutes left on this, and then we got another program coming up. Yvette and company's going to be talking about the Browns. I might jump on for that because I'm sitting here, but The idea behind this, I started about a half hour before NXT, and I'm going to give myself some credit because I absolutely think that I did a good job just talking on nonstop about Raw. And preferably, what this is going to be, one of these nights, I'll start when the actual show starts, and we can kind of more or less talk about that. And it looks like Lita's now lining up the qualifying matches for the Iron Survive. Joe Coffey versus Trick Williams. All right. We're going to go with Trick Williams wins this one, right? I think that's where we're going. Thanks, Lita. That's a hell of a match you made. I like how they're having some legends come back to sort of make these matches. Metaphor. Noam Dar with this damn Heritage Cup is just this is good stuff here. It's perfect for NXT. I would hope it would work on the main roster, but man, for NXT, Metaphor is just a load of fun. Previewing SmackDown for Friday. LA Knight, yeah. Taking on Jey Uso. Or I'm sorry, Jimmy Uso. Jimmy Uso, Jey Uso is absolutely killing it on Raw, and he looks like he's going to be a future world champion, but Jimmy Uso, who I think people are kind of confused. They keep crapping on him. Well, it doesn't make sense that he went back in the bloodline. Well, no, he's lost. Lost his brother. He has to be somewhere. So now he's trying to fit back in, and he's nuts, and he thinks he should be leading, and he has become hysterical. I look forward to SmackDown just to see Jimmy Uso do anything because he's just hysterical, especially when he's with Roman. I mean, the whole thing with him on the couch, I mean, sometimes I think people screw up wrestling because they try too hard to make it make sense. It only needs to make a tiny bit of sense. If you are willing to accept that, first off, if you could accept that I could take somebody and throw them into ropes and they are willingly going to bounce back at me so I can hit them with a clothesline, you should be able to accept most things. Because I don't know how many UFC or boxing matches or anything you've seen, but 0 times has anybody ever went off the ropes and came willingly back to the person. So if you can accept that somebody came off the ropes to get hit, you're good. Don't make it to the point where you're thinking to where it isn't fun. It's fun. We're watching guys pretend to fight. Guys and girls pretend to fight. I want logic. I want things to be good, but I don't need everything to be, that perfect. So if it doesn't make sense that he rejoined the bloodline, it does. It really does. But don't think about it too hard. Just enjoy what they're doing. Just enjoy their characters because they're friggin' great. You don't want to see Jimmy Uso be hilarious? I do. All right, we got about 2 minutes left, and then we'll switch streams here. And then I'm trying to think of when I might do. I'm thinking maybe next week. I definitely was thinking the 24th because I would love to be on the Smack, or Raw because Randy Orton might come back. Well, Survivor Series week coming up next week could be a lot of fun. So I might try to definitely get one either. I mean, we could do this Tuesday again, maybe, but I mean, it would be cool to see, Raw the 20th, you're going to have Randy Orton coming back. Then Friday the 24th is the go-home SmackDown before Survivor Series. I won't be broadcasting for Survivor Series because I'm going out for my birthday. I'm going to the Cavs-Lakers game up here. I'm probably going to get really shitty, too, so streaming in that condition, although it might be hilarious, is not an option. But I'm definitely thinking next week going into Survivor Series, try to jump on for one of the shows just because it'll be really good. Randy, I'd like to if Randy Orton comes back Monday like everybody believes he is, and it makes sense that he would, I'd like to be on for that, but I don't know if it'd be end of the show, the beginning. Raw is 3 hours. I can't go that long, so maybe do it from 8 to 9 or 9:30 and hope for the best. But yeah, definitely try to get something on here Survivor Series week. But I'm done. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for a couple people that interacted. I'm going to keep trying to do this. Maybe we can get some people. Might do some Cavs games, but probably going to be a lot of wrestling. So thanks. And you got some Browns talk coming up next. So enjoy. Thank you. Oh, yeah, you can follow me on X at Ryan Alessio if you didn't see that the whole time. Okay, goodbye for real.